Live. Hey, podcast listening people. Connor Doobie here. Welcome to B2B Mentors. We have a guest interview for you today. I have a real treat for you today. All right. Wait till you see the guest I've got behind the scenes. Celebrity. How to build your brand like a celebrity. That's what we're going to be chatting about today. And, a good friend of mine. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Tune in. Make sure you like this, drop comments, share this. If you're watching after the fact, please share it. If not for you, for somebody else. Let's go now. My friends, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on all your favorite podcast apps. Please go to iTunes, leave a 5-star review so others can find the show too. And with that, I'm going to bring up the man, the myth, the legend, Vinnie Potestivo. Did I say that right?
You nailed it.
Potestivo. Oh, Emmy Award-winning media brand advisor, personal brand strategist, content coach, and the host of I Have a Podcast with many celebrities, including an interview that we did together that's on there, which is super exciting. Vinnie and his team at VPEtalent wait, dude, I totally, your bio is so long. There's so much here to cover. But really what you've done is your passion to evolve talent opportunities and an impact has driven Vinnie and his team at VPEtalent to become well-trusted connectors who sell, develop, produce, launch, distribute, and amplify some of the most talked about original series and talent brands in modern pop culture. And you're also a former executive and supervising casting director at MTV. And also I consider you my friend. So welcome to the show, my friend.
Scott, what's up? Connor Doobie Doo.
What's changed since we've done, I think I kind of brought you out of your shell and doing streams on LinkedIn, and you just like exploded into a magnificent beast of content since then. What's been going on?
It's fun. The audience on LinkedIn is killer. The information is killer. The action is killer. I think that I got tired from Instagram and Facebook and the monotonous circle of creating and audience consumption. And I realized I was kind of feeding into a cyclical beast, and LinkedIn gave me some clarity and some focus and some direction. So I really appreciate you for getting me excited about LinkedIn. And then LinkedIn went and spent millions of dollars on creating like a creator economy and creator managers. And they put together, a fund for creators, and they're giving us tools, and it's cool. LinkedIn is sexy. I like it. I like
it's happening. It certainly is. It's becoming like, the time that you really started diving into the platform was like perfectly aligned for creators such as yourself, because normally someone of your influence and your stature and your kind of celebrity status would really put their push and emphasis on like Twitter or, like you said, Instagram or TikTok. But most people really aren't tapping into LinkedIn. Now they are, but I've been ranting and raving about this for years. Like the connections there, the wealth, the status, the level of influencers that you can get access to there is unbeatable to any other platform.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I meet people on LinkedIn, but more importantly, the people I've already met are on LinkedIn. And my entire career, I think for 15 years now, I've been on LinkedIn. I loved it. I loved everything about it since day one. I loved the credibility, the transparency, the accountability that came with the platform. I love opportunity. I feel like when I show up in the room, if you go to a party, you show up with like a bottle or cookies. Like I show up with opportunities. Like there's something on my mind I got to tell you about, something that you got to know about, something you got to experience. I'm actually known for that. Like I show up with like something to do.
What does that mean? Like you want to share that, like when you uncover something, you want to share that with everybody?
It's like my love language. How I know how I'm adding to the conversation is by providing opportunity. So I know at MTV in the late 90s when I got there, I could call anyone any celebrity I wanted up and ask for a meeting, just because not only was I at MTV at the time where youth culture was watching television, but I was in the department that was like the gatekeeper to reality TV for the stars. Like I was helping stars claim their narratives. I was helping Jessica Simpson tell the world that she's not like Britney, Christina, and Mandy Moore, and to showing the world the chicken of the sea, side to her, that human side to her. Or with Ashton, showing the world how he's not, just a hot, dumb model on stereotypical movies or playing a certain role in television. He's capable of making a hit series. And he did that on MTV. And I got to help him, do that, like to
As a
empower.
prankster. What was the show back in the day?
Punked, the big show.
Yeah.
Well, we had Osbournes, then Punked, and then Newlyweds. And those three shows, the trifecta of those three shows, what that did for the network. And each of those respective shows, like Punked helped Newlyweds and Osbournes and vice versa. I mean, I think there was a year where we had the cover of Rolling Stone 3 months in a row because of like the pop culture we were actively, creating, not just serving. So I was part lucky to have started my career at MTV. The luck part is the right people, saw me. Like I don't have control over who saw what I was doing, but I also knew that if I did it a certain way, I could get the attention of certain individuals or executives. And once I found out who they were, I started doing things in my career, making decisions and sharing things like that peer to peer, the same way that we might even talk about what a solid content strategy on social media looks like, which to me in one simple description is right. Don't create social media for your audience. Create it just for me and then remove my name. Create it for Connor and remove his name. And you'll see how many people resonate and see and have the same point of view as me and Connor. And that allows you to create content that's directly targeting somebody.
Speak to the one person.
Speak to the one, right?
About the masses. Yeah.
Because
so how old, just take a small step back
Sure.
here before we dive into that. How old were you when you launched your career at MTV?
20.
You're 20. And what was going on in Vinny's life from like 10 till 20? How did you end up in that world? Was this something that was always like that you always aspired to, or?
I was an engineer. Databasing really? Was my thing. Yeah. Like Excel. Yeah. Like databasing.
I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah. I could, my first job was at Credit Suisse First Boston. I was like a Y2K compliancy officer. I had to build a database for the launch of the Euro. But I could tell you literally all throughout my emails, everyone would always say this is literally the most beautiful database we've ever seen. And I'm like, oh, you mean because the information there, like just the way you have the things, just the way you have it laid out. And I worked at the computer center at my school. So I got a ridiculous amount of exposure to other people's projects. I helped people fix their papers, their reports. So I became an expert in sort of like creating reports and documents, making them look beautiful, which all translated wonderfully into being able to pitch talent to executives and to networks. I got an internship at the Staten Island Community Access Channel. I was a control room intern where I learned how to digitize videotape. And because I knew how to transcode beta tape, and I knew how to transcribe beta. And then also I would be able to transfer it to VHS to be able to cut it down from there. I had some fundamental skills.
What is VHS?
Right? Like, what is that? And what is think DVD, but
DVD.
I don't know, DVD, but DVD means Scotch tape. I don't know how would you even explain VHS to someone back. And it's like a fidget that never, be kind, rewind. And I because I learned TV in the mid 90s, I learned beta, I learned VHS, and I learned how to organize digital assets. I kind of had this skill set that was so transferable and so, and I relied on it I still rely on you know me, I still rely on that actual hard skill that I have to convert video into a finished product, wherever that's going. And it's not always intended for public mass consumption. And I was passionate about that. Long story short, in college, I started my company, Vinnie Potestivo Entertainment, in October of '98. I took out an ad in something called Backstage, which is where actors can go and look at casting notices, if you don't have representation. And I put out an ad saying that I'm a casting director. I'm looking for people to send me their headshots. And basically that week, I also saw that MTV was having a casting call. So I thought I would go to the casting call and meet the casting director. If I cast, that's fun. And I came with a couple of people from school. And what came from that meeting is the coolest meeting in the world. It was the Prince of Egypt soundtrack release. It was November '98, I guess.
I love that movie.
It's so weird. I got to ask Mariah Carey what it was like recording with Whitney. No, I'm lying. I got to ask Whitney Houston what it was like recording with Mariah Carey on that soundtrack, because I went to go meet this casting director at MTV. I thought, let's go see what that's all about. He told us meet him on the corner. He gave me the information. So I was lucky enough to get picked. And we could talk about, and I hate when I say lucky, because there's a lot of work that goes into lucky, but I was strategically lucky enough to get picked.
Yes.
And what I didn't realize I was prepared for, that's like the moment where my career kicked off. What I didn't realize I was already prepared for was I asked that casting director, how can I help? How can I bring you more people? What are ways that I could help you? He said, I'm doing a very busted Christmas special on MTV back in '99, as it was. Do you have anyone who would want to sit in the audience? And I thought, yes, are you kidding me? I'm going to look like a hero when I go back to college. And that relationship opened up an opportunity for me to bring all of the talented people that were in my life academically, like that I was going to school with. I was now working on shows and casting shows where I needed performers to lip sync, a show on MTV called Say What Karaoke, where people sang in front of celebrities, and celebrities would, give them, would rate them, and it's sort of like Dancing with the Stars, except the exact opposite. I got to give a lot of my friends videotape that they could put on their reels that they would use for commercial auditions. And it was just the coolest opportunity to start rolling, around in that world with talent. MTV empowers youth. It's a youth, cultural network. It's about the youth culture. So that's where I was lucky. I didn't realize how my alignment to that network mattered, because they truly believed in talent development. And I believed in talent development. And those are two, that was almost like, that was the beginning of our relationship. When we would start talking about artists and talent, I would talk to producers, not about what was already on air, but just my point of view in pop culture, what was happening and what MTV could be a part of, the conversations that weren't happening, the conversations that were just on the brink, because I felt like I was in it. And again, going back to my technical background, I'm very hands-on on the internet, and I was in chat rooms, and I was hosting, music rooms and music swaps, and it really connected with me. And in '99, as it turns out, so I was freelance for a while, and I worked on a show on Fox News called Hannity and Colmes, which is a bipartisan show, both sides of the aisle, and
with Hannity, the Hannity,
Sean
that
Hannity. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Sean Hannity and Sean Combs. So there was like a left side and a right side to the conversation. We traveled America, and it was a great conversation that gave voice to both sides, of the debate. And because of that experience, I was, in my relationship with MTV, I was the person that they turned to when they were looking for a casting coordinator to cast Choose or Lose in 2000, which was their coverage for the political campaign. And that's where I first found Gideon Yago in that process, which sort of ultimately was the first step to changing what became the new MTV News. And quickly thereafter, I found Suchin Pak. And then like the news department loved me. So like I was doing fine there. And they had me start helping them cast VJs. And we saw this thing with Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. Jessica Simpson was just coming on board. we knew MTV missed the boy band. Like the boy bands had already sort of launched. So maybe if we could have a female artist that represented what was happening in pop culture, if we could find that person and we can grow with them and invest with them, that our audience would experience, what that was like also. And that's how I started working with Mandy Moore, because she was 15. And by the way, Rebecca, This Is Us back then. She was a 90-year-old as a 15-year-old back then. In terms of the wisdom and the balance of her energy. And
old souls.
Yeah. And not to say she knew everything, because she was quick to she's very quick to ask for help and guidance. And that's, I think, not necessarily indicative of like 90-year-olds who tend to know everything, but she just has this like wonderful energy to her. And by the way, we also auditioned Jessica Simpson to possibly be a VJ, and Jessica just couldn't nail the copy. Some people just can't, do the business, but it started off the relationship that led to Newlyweds. And then she introduced me to Macy's, and then I got to bring Macy's to their first million on Facebook, and I created Macy's $1 Million Makeover. So it's a really cool reciprocal sort of exchange in energy. When I can help someone, they become billionaires with Macy's, and that opens up their door. I'm not saying I did that, but it certainly helped propel that energy.
Well,
and then they bring you along with them. That's the best part.
It started with really the ask of, you went in with an open mind, knowing that relationships lead to opportunity, and simply by asking the question, I understand this. Like, where do you need help? Like, what is your thing? You're not in there like, oh my God, I need to be an intern for you. I want to work for you. And like, you went in there with a business mentality and added value, which led to like launching your career, which you would have done whether it was MTV or probably anywhere else. You probably would have ended up super successful.
Oh, I appreciate you so much. I love that you said relationships lead to opportunities, because my career is predicated on the fact that opportunities turn into relationships. Who am I to be friends with the most talented people in the entire world if I can't bring something? And that's truly like, and I'm not saying that I'm not capable of being awesome personal friends with these people, but like, to be honest, I don't need to be friends with
so XY celebrity, but you wouldn't be able to bring things to the table for them if you didn't have other connections and relationships to be able to bring to the table for them. So it just goes back to like, it's not what you know, it's not who you know, it's who knows you, which is really what's important.
Yeah, it's true.
So, what is it? What are you doing now with VPEtalent? What's kind of the main focus of your business model at the current moment?
Growth, I would say at this point. For a long time, I made myself pretty small so that I can make room for my clients who are much, much larger talent brand names than me collectively even. And I'm really focused on growth. I'm really focused on impact. I have some awesome infrastructure that I'm able to help bring to founder-led businesses, to brands that identify as being talent. So, that might be journalists or influencers or CEOs or experts, people who identify as going on camera and having a sort of traditional media visibility, but are looking for that Web 3.0, that new way of monetizing talent brands, that non-linear way of monetizing talent brands. That is where I'm excelling at. And I think in our first interview, we came up with some killer pillars about how to create a talent brand. If you haven't, please go back and listen to it, because I've gone back and listened to it many times. The idea of winning awards, of taking credit, of being discovered, of having a red carpet moment. You don't have to be a celebrity to have a red carpet moment. Create a time to go be on Clubhouse and go tell the world that you're going to be there. It's that easy as a red carpet moment now,
Well, let me,
that was awesome.
Let me frame this, right? Because this is B2B Mentors podcast, and pretty much all of our listeners are in this not weird, but like this unsexy world of B2B marketing. And I love learning from those outside of our industry and taking a lot of those principles and applying it into the world of B2B sales, right? Selling high 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-figure deals. And so what is the framework that me as any B2B marketer, entrepreneur, whether I'm a startup or my business is already doing 500 million in sales, how can I apply celebrity branding to my business?
Okay, that's a great question. So let's go with the assumption that there's already momentum. We're already taking ownership. There's a mindset of talent. There's a clarity in vision that strategy and tactics are in place, and that the content and media that you're making is meaningful. Like let's assume that that's happening. I can go back to that list we just started going through. I love to bring up that people should win awards. There is shame in winning awards. There's shame in celebrating winning awards. And some awards you can win by yourself, and some awards are group efforts. Some of them are predicated on a property, a show, a series. When I won the Emmy, I couldn't be prouder to win that Emmy because it's not a solo award. It's not indicative of only my success. It's a whole team success. It screams that I'm a team player.
Shout out Brandon.
Shout out to Brandon, to Samantha.
Jeff
Michael,
Hoffman was on that project, right?
Yeah. Kevin Harrington. Those are people I won my first Emmy with. I've been in TV 25 years. This Emmy could not be more meaningful to me. It could not be more meaningful to me. And it's not because Brandon and Samantha and Jeff and Kevin, and they're good friends of mine. Because to be honest, I usually do work with my good friends. So like this is like so par for the course for me to be working with people I love and I want to see successful.
Did you get it in the mail yet?
It's coming today.
Oh man, we should have waited. Maybe
it's coming today.
Then you could just hold your Emmy while we podcast together. So we'll do another stream, and you can just hold your Emmy the entire time.
See, you know what you should do? Anything for a part 2, sure. What?
You see, what you should do is just turn it into a microphone, because that would be pretty badass.
Oh yeah, just go ahead and talking to my lady.
Yeah.
I keep referring to her as a lady. I'm like, Andrew, she's coming today. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, she's on her way here. I saw it. I was looking on the app. She started off Oklahoma. Now she's in the messaging center and she's on her way here. She's come and see me.
Are you jealous?
And they give you. It's so cool. I didn't even. It's so cool. So by the way, let's just talk about Emmys. 25 years I've been in television, and I want you to know something. First off, to qualify for an Emmy, you need to be in the institution. You need to be in the National Institution for Arts and Sciences. So that you're paying a fee to be in an institution. And then in addition to qualifying to be in the institution, you have to pay for every single ask. So every show that you ask for consideration for a nomination, you have to pay for. And every producer who's attached to that consideration also has to pay per head. So I might have a show with 5 producers or 1 producer. It's going to vary, the cost. So it's expensive asking for awards. Usually the network, the production company, the film house, traditionally, like those are people who would have money in the budget, to pay for those awards. Also, there's something unfortunate in this creative space where you're sort of frowned on if you put yourself up for an award, if it goes against the strategy of, for example, there's a really famous story of an actor on Game of Thrones getting nominated for an Emmy when she wasn't submitted by the network, and it kind of like caused a controversial stir. But I love her. I don't even want to go into details on that show yet, or spoilers. But I love that action of knowing that you're valuable and that the work is valuable and that it should win award. Why? Because people go to award-winning lists and they work backwards. So if I want to work with a producer, I might go to an award-winning list and start looking backwards there. Awards signify, one, that you're proud of your work, which means that not only are you going to make something great, but you're actually going to talk about it and promote it and amplify it and distribute it. Those are, so I love teaching people about winning awards. And I'll tell you what, I will send you my award document directly after this. And if it's cool with you and it passes thing, then anyone who's listening to this is more than welcome. Maybe we can put like a link in the
That'd be awesome.
description or something.
Is this is how to go about getting awards?
This is not only how to go about getting awards. I've identified about 100 awards that are out there that you might not be aware of that you qualify for.
Wow.
Based on your marketing efforts, based on the technology efforts. Well, we know about the Davy Awards, the Telly Awards, the W3s, the communicators. I love the Stackies. This is one of my favorite awards. Like if you're in marketing and you use, if you have this multiple third parties, technology, something, this records it and it automates this and it triggers this. And this is how ultimately, and I found a new way to stack technology on each other. Like there's an award for that. And I love pointing that out because all that's signifying is that you're surveying the land. You're taking active inventory of what's out there. You're literally putting together best practices in a way that no one has yet, right? The individual product is coming, but meanwhile, for the interim few months or maybe even years until someone really addresses the bigger issue, you found a workaround. And right now, we're all about the workarounds. Like that's how we as people are working with each other. That's the future of Web 3.0. No longer selling a show directly through a network. Why? I can get it on TV.
No need,
right. I can give you a list of be careful how I say it, 6 ways to get on television without selling your show to network. That for a fact I can do.
So Vinnie will get us that document and I'll make sure I get it out to all of you listening. Everybody on our email list, you're going to get immediate priority access to that since you're on our email list, but that'd be amazing. But I think so, and yesterday, and I'm again so grateful for you showing up to our mastermind session that we did on B2B marketing, and we talked PR. And on the award side, like why are awards one of the first things that really you think of when it comes, like if I'm a technology company or a marketing agency, like why an award? What value is that going to serve for me to grow my business? Because that's all I give a shit about at the end of the day.
Yeah, it depends on the award. To be honest, I think the best awards are sort of like peer approval. Like I love the idea of the Emmys because the voting body is the same as the contributing body. I think it's a little bit hard when like we leave voting up to the fans and not to the creative body. Like what are we really measuring here? So I put emotional weight, to be honest, on awards that are tallied peer-to-peer, meaning there's a governing body of other video marketers similar to me who are looking at my stuff. By the way, I'll pay $200, $300 a year for a governing group of bodies that I have no clue about who they are to let me know if my stuff is resonating with them or not. Like that's just like content testing to me out of the gate, by the way. And it gives me a little something extra to talk about. Also, Disney, Apple, CNN, Fox, Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, Tony, they apply for awards. Mm-hmm. They apply for awards. Oprah gets awards. Obama's in podcasting. Both Obamas, they're applying for awards.
His podcast was so boring. I could not get into it.
I know, but
my God, it was like.
You think Spotify's not going to put that up for awards?
Yeah.
And why?
Certainly.
Because if that gets an award, then it discredits all the fact that it may not have been interesting, to be honest.
Well, and I guess because of ego, a lot of us are like, well, why aren't they approaching me to like offer me awards and everything? And that's kind of how I've thought of it over the years as well. Is like, why has nobody look at all the content I put out? Look at all the podcasts I've put out.
I'm getting goosebumps.
Look at what we've done in our business. But
they don't.
What you're saying is you have to take a proactive outbound approach to actually getting awards, and those are the people that are getting awards.
Over goosebumps. Yeah, no one ain't no one walking around giving Emmys. No one is giving Emmys to people who aren't asking for it, to be honest. And I think that's where clarity comes into play. We have to really know what we want. I'll be very honest. Last year, I had a goal to win awards. I put this document together. That's how interested I was in winning awards. You know why? 25 years, I didn't win. I can tell you all the TV shows I've worked on that you would imagine I've won an award or won an Emmy itself. But a lot of my shows early on didn't qualify for TV awards and Emmys because they were unscripted and people didn't quite know how to wrap their head around, that. So something interesting about the timing of success, it needs to be relevant measurable. If it's brand new, it's going to be real. I didn't get any Emmys. I didn't want them. I felt like maybe Emmys would have slowed me down. I was so new. Everything we did was brand new and exciting. So I didn't really even think about my award strategy back then. But when I look at the executives at MTV who took awards and certain awards for those credits that I wasn't a part of. And by the way, I was junior, so I don't have to be attached to everything. But part of awards is awards. I want to point this out. So awards, generally speaking, are connected to like services. So if you're working on a creative property, these are all things that are negotiated, up front. And whatever it is that you're negotiating on any creative property, I think there's two main factors that you're negotiating at any time. One is license, like what you have the ability to give, and the other is leverage, which is generally speaking your personal brand. And like license, generally speaking, is finite. So like I give you this and it's a defined term and it is what it is. But then there's my brand. And 2 years from now, I might be so good that you want to redo this deal with me because there's going to be NFTs that are not part of this deal. And there's going to be social streaming audio that are not part of this deal. Some might say, oh, well, that falls under new media. I would say new media was the definition of new media is a new component of existing media. So I would say that these were not existing forms of media and that they're not new media. It's social media. It's not new media. New media would be. So there's this idea now that we have to go back to renegotiate, not even on paper, some of our relationships with people based on like the projects or podcasts or masterminds or just like collaborative projects that we've done. But this whole NFT and the idea of being able to go back in time to remonetize and also add more value. That's really what they're doing, is adding more value, hopefully, to where it all began.
So if I were to focus in on like the top just 3 things for today, and then again, you got to go follow Vinnie, you got to consume his content, check out all the rooms he does because he's just constantly sharing value on all these key areas. What are the other awards? What's step 2 and 3 if I want to start making transitions to making my company into a steps towards celebrity, status in my industry?
You have to take inventory of your team, right? So like there isn't a single talent team out there that doesn't have a team. And I know lots of A-list actors who don't even have publicists. So I'm not saying every team is created differently, but take inventory of the staff around you, right? You want to make sure that you're strong and your offense and defense are strong and will allow you to drop into any situation for opportunity that you want. I think that having cohesive strategy with tactics, like really, really replacing the old with the new, having clarity in the mindset that allows you to create tactics to your strategy. That's so important. That might be something as simple as knowing you're going to create a segment in your podcast so that you can take the segment out and maybe you can share it with other people who would want that segment for their blogs, but maybe not your entire podcast. Maybe they would take 2.5 minutes, but not a 40-minute, So that's what I mean by having clarity and mindset and also in distribution. And then take inspired action, create content that matters to you. Create content that matters to you, because I think where we're going into, so like maybe I would say those first 20 years of my professional career, I may have made some shows I'm not so proud of. They're big hits. Housewives of Jersey, they're big hits. Don't get me wrong. But I hope that's not what's on my tombstone. But it would be if I let it, but I'm not going to let it. That's why I'm doing this. We got to get some pearly gates, got to put in them good hours. And that's where I think when blockchain comes out and this idea of a decentralized video market where we own our videos and we can do anything when we want with them, we have to realize that we own the videos. So good or bad, whatever happens from that creative conversation, that podcast episode or TV series or digital series, whatever comes from it or is inspired by it, you have ownership of. And I think that's where it's going to be really important to work on projects that you truly believe on. Like I've said yes to cast things that were just silly and I wouldn't do again, to be honest, because there are other people out there who have time to be silly in their careers. I'm a 45-year-old. I got something to prove. That's what it comes down to, timing.
But for the experience, there's a time and place to, sample around stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so from what I'm gaining is like, number one is, we talked about awards, but that also applies to like PR strategy is get the authority and get the recognition. But you can have all the authority and recognition in the world if you don't take inventory of your team. And then number three, use content to continue to amplify that message and that credibility that you've gotten recognition from. And also, like, people are busy, distracted. We live in a noisy world. You got to stay in front of them. Like, people don't remember who won what's like the highest level of movie award, like Oscar. People don't remember who won an Oscar 15 years ago in 2020. They remember what happened this last year.
So
you got to use content to stay relevant. With that, Vinny, too, just in winding down here, you're in front of a room of every single marketer out there. What do you want to say that's actionable, takeaway and implementable? Is that a word?
Okay. Yeah.
Is that a word? Is implementable a word?
Do you want to implement it?
It's implementable.
There it then. So
I think I got some. I think I'm onto something there. I think I got it.
My message would be that you matter, and that your steps matter, and that the way you think matters, and the way you digest information matters, and the way you relay information matters. And that as a marketer, especially as someone who is creating the energy for a conversation or a message or something educational or feeling, whatever it is that the goal is, that all of what you do matters, down to the food you eat, down to how healthy your relationship is, down to the TV shows that you watch or don't watch, by the way. And the input dictates the output. You gotta watch. Sometimes the hardest part of being productive is being not productive. The hardest part of being relevant is losing relevance so that you can come back, to it. And that's the journey, and that there's no such thing as failed anything. This is marketing is creative business. We are allowed to make mistakes. That's what we're challenged to do. We'll celebrate the wins, and someone else will celebrate your losses. But either way, it's a celebration, and you matter. It's really true. And whatever the outcome is, whatever size team you have, whether it's 1 or none or 50, you matter. And I can't stress that enough, because your energy will ultimately seep through this project, and they will say, "Oh, I knew you had to be involved in it because it just felt like you." I
feel like you're speaking directly to my soul. I gave you chills. You gave me chills. What's better than a podcast during that? Vinny, I love you so much. You are one of my favorite human beings. And it's just amazing the fact that, like, when we first met in Brandon's mastermind, it's like, we knew what each other did. And it's like, I don't, who knows what's going to come out of that relationship. We're in these totally different spaces, but more, almost more than anybody, like, I just constantly am learning from you, and I'm so grateful that we have you here, and you are welcome on the show anytime. So we'll definitely do some more content. Unfortunately, I got to hop to another meeting. So all of you listening, Vinny, best way to find you, follow you, get into contact with you.
Oh, just go to Connor's socials and then get me that way. Wherever he posted this, I know I'm in the thread. So come say hi on Connor's socials. It's literally the easiest way to find me. I got one hell of a last name to find. But if you do,
it's not that crazy.
But VPE.tv tends to be the easiest way. Those 5 letters, VPE.tv. But seriously, say hi to me on social. I'm always on LinkedIn. I got LinkedIn audio events going on every week now that I got access to the tool. And Connor and I are constantly connected. So I'm not that far away.
Go connect with this man. Go listen to his podcast. I have a podcast on all major podcast apps, right?
Yeah.
You can find it anywhere. So make sure you guys go subscribe. Yeah. Subscribe too. Subscribe and check that out. Also, I love you so much, my friend. I'm going to let you run here. And for the rest of you guys, I hope you got at least one golden nugget out of that. And by the way, if you want access to guys like Vinny and guys and gals and human beings who are moving, shaking, and super successful in the world of marketing and branding. And you want to learn from them. You want to get coaching from them. You want to get mentorship from them. Make sure you show up at our free B2B Mentors Marketing Mastermind. We do it every second and last Thursday of the month. Go to activeblogs.com/live event. Vinny, you're probably going to kill me because I need to shorten that domain. I know it. But for now, activeblogs.com/live event. Much love to you, my friends. Make it great, and I'll see you on.